Hello, gentles and ladymen. I'm Ulan Gaming, and today I want to showcase what I think is probably the coolest revolution in the entire game. It is the new revolution that is available to France after this most recent update, being Revolutionary France. Now, the cost is the standard revolution, and the bonus it states is that your cour de bois turn into Sansculotts, which are revolutionary gatherers that are better at fighting. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, we're going to take a look. The Courrier de Bois have 40% range res and 180 HP with 8 attack. When they revolt here, they lose a good chunk of their HP, but they keep their 40% range resistance. They get a little bit of extra speed, and then they get 20 attack and an additional multiplier against infantry, making them quite the valuable fighting force, actually. If you stack enough settler hit point techs and cards, you can make these guys pretty damn tanky, I'm willing to bet, with that 40% range resistance. Now, that's the only thing that the thing gives on the surface. However, you can still train revolutionaries, you can still gather with the Sansculotts, and you can also train Sansculotts at the town center, but what makes them unique is that Sansculotts have ever so slightly slower gather rates compared to normal settlers. So you're taking a settler that is normally 25% better than a standard settler, and getting instead a settler that is slightly worse than a standard settler, which doesn't sound very good on the surface. However, what's amazing is that you can train Sansculotts in batches of 5 just like any normal training unit. And they train really, really fast, too. So imagine being able to train settlers in groups of 5, and that's what this revolt allows you to do. They even come at a discount at only costing 90 food. This is an incredible capability right here that cannot go understated. Additionally, the Sansculotts have a lot of upgrades specific to them, and they're of course going to get advantage from any and all settler techs and cards that you have sent earlier. I think the Sansculotte is actually just fantastic for the pure ability to just train them in batches of 5. You can cap out your settlers in seconds with this revolution. But with that, we're going to take a look at the cards. They have a they have a hot air balloons ability that we're just gonna pretend doesn't exist. They have a factory just like normal, just like a normal one. You guys will really see what makes the Revolution deck special once we get down to this shipment here. We have a lot of upgrades to Sansculotts themselves right here. Like Sansculotte siege damage and armor increased. So in addition to having more attack, they also have 32 siege at base with the Sansculotts. And this one boosts it, I think, up to 40, if I'm not mistaken. And that gives them 10% siege resistance to go with their 40% range resistance. A very solid card across the board, I would say. There you can see the shipment arriving. Yes, it does indeed give them 40 siege and 10% siege resistance. Now there's a card here. You gain more XP from training units than other players, and receive less XP from they receive less XP from defeating yours. Sansculotts gather slightly faster. So this gives them honestly quite a sizable boost of 15 to 25% across the board, depending on what they're gathering from. And it also, of course, increases the XP bounty that you get for building everything. Now, the XP bounty increase is not that high. It's very minimal. But it's those little differences, because there are a lot of shipments in this revolt, and the game knows that by the time you revolt to this, you might not have the most amount of XP gain in the universe, and shipments are rather expensive. So there are actually quite a few different cards that increase your XP gather rates that you can help to help you get more of those things. Now it only subtracts the kill XP by 10% and increases the build bounty by 10%. So you'll see it's not that big of an increase. Instead of 10 and 10, it's 11 XP for building and 9 for killing. And instead of 20 and 20, it's 22 XP for building and 18 for the kill. But you know what? It's every little bit that matters, you know. Scan glutes frighten enemy soldiers, and you gain more XP for defeating them. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. We don't really need to send this card. We have receive a fraction of food and coin for each economic unit you have lost so far. Sans glutes inflict more damage to hero units. Now, just give them a ×2 multiplier. It's not the craziest thing in the universe. However, we will kill off exactly one of our sans glutes so that you can see exactly how much bonus, how many resources each sans glute gives you with guillotine. Perfect, here's an army of Yumi archers to throw myself into. Fantastic. Alright, now, for every single economic unit that dies, you get 10 wood and 10 coin. It's not the greatest card in the world. It's a nifty one for when you just need a couple resources. You're probably going to be sending other cards instead of guillotine. This is not the strongest card in the world. But it's there if you happen to have lost a huge army of sans glutes and want a little bit of compensation for it. This one, however, is worth sending, and this is Canterese. Field hospitals can be built in greater numbers and generate food, and improves the gather rate of sans glutes. Once again, this is a sans glute improving card. It's by 15% across the board. It's by 30% for bushes, 20% for herd animals, 15% for mills and farms, and 20% for cherry orchards. You get the idea. It just increases their food gathering rate, and it also allows the field hospitals to get a build limit of 8, and allows them to generate food. Now, field hospitals can only be built by surgeons, so you need to build a church before you can get those. The field hospitals themselves trickle, I think, 0.65 food per second. So with a build limit of 8, you can actually get almost, like, 5 or 6... I think you can get, like, almost 5 food per second, or something to that extent. It's a pretty good bonus, in all honesty. So they provide 0.67 food per second. Okay, so it's roughly 5.35 food per second for having all 8 field hospitals, which honestly is a nice boost. That's an extra unupgraded factory's worth of food trickle that you can just add to your economy, which is pretty solid. If nothing else, even if the sans glutes don't gather as fast, this revolt has a lot of economic bonuses and gather options to add to your pile. Now, the Sister Republics is not a good shipment. This is not one I recommend you send. It costs 1,500 resources and gives you a shipment of random European allies that could be anything from drummers to Saxon cuirassiers to just standard just standard musketeers. Now, a normal age 4 shipment of musketeers is going to be something in the realm of 14 to 15, depending on what the musketeer is. Unless it's a really expensive musketeer, and they don't, that kind of shipment doesn't cost any kind of resources, so applying a 1,500 resource shipment on this is kind of crazy expensive. See, in this one we got 2 Saxon cuirassiers, 2 token cop hussar, royal musketeer, some veteran line infantry. They're all veteran status. Or not even that. Some of them are just base level. This is really not a good shipment, and I don't really recommend it under any circumstances. But what is a good shipment is Client States. Receives 5 revolutionaries and 500 coin for each trading post you own. In this case, as I have built trading posts along every single post here, I have 6 trade posts, so this is a 30 revolutionary and 3,000 coin shipments, which is pretty insane. This is definitely one of the powerhouse shipments that is available to this revolt. The overall theme of this revolt is that it's an alternate for Age 5. You get the ability to train settlers very, very, very quickly. They're easily replaceable. They do a lot of damage. You can train them in batches of 5, which I still think is just crazy. And you still maintain a strong economy while being able to pump out revolutionaries and Sanskaloots and all of these crazy powerful shipments. And as you'll see later, we still get access to our Imperial upgrades. So here we have 6 large crates of 500 coin on the ground for a total of 3,000. A ridiculously good shipment. And then we have a ships to revolutionaries for each shipment sent so far this game type of shipment, which are always helpful. You know, they're not the craziest thing out there, but they are fantastic. But they are helpful. But the real star of the show here is Napoleonic era. Oh, in terms of infinite resources, we have infinite 500 of each, infinite 16 revolutionaries, and infinite 2 horse artillery. It's pretty much your standard infinite shipments for a revolution, but we have a shipment here called Napoleonic era, which costs 1,789 food, 1,804 wood, and 1,815 coin. I'm pretty sure that these are very, very specific coin resource costs that tie to specific dates, but I'm not too much of a history nerd so that to know what each and every single one of these dates represents. Advances your French Revolution with into a new era with powerful unit shipments for your deck. This shipment right here is the French Revolutionary shipment equivalent of going to Age 5. Is kind of what I feel like. This will significantly alter your deck to a point where it's hardly even, like, recognizable, as you guys will see momentarily. We have revolted from our mother country. Will not help you on the field of battle. As you can see, we have a plethora of new shipments across the board that are absolutely fantastic. It allows us to resend our factory should we have lost it, and gives us our second factory. And then naturally, you can only actually have 2 factories at once. But the fact that you can resend the factory card should it go down is just a fantastic little bonus on the side there. But we're not going to send this. We're going to take a look at all of the new shipments that we have here, and you guys are going to be quite surprised at their quality. This first one here is just receive more XP for defeating enemy units. It coincides with a lot of other things we've seen before that are quite similar, like the Sanskaloots frightening enemy soldiers, and the Cult of the Supreme Being, yada yada yada. It's more XP, it allows you to get the rest of these shipments faster, which is important in the ends of the game where just that little bit of XP can go quite a long ways. This one right here is pretty insane though. It's Continental Blockade, it costs 1,806 coin, and disables home city shipments for all enemy players for 4 minutes. Now this is literally just a temporary, this is literally just temporary and cheap blockade. The 1806 coin cost is also stationary, and this is an insane ability. Now, granted, even after doing this revolt, we're not able to create the capital, so you are missing out on your Imperial Gather upgrades. But that's not necessarily too much of an issue given all of the cards that we've gotten before and our factory's worth of food trickle. I honestly don't mind it, and often find that when I'm in Age 5, I have more resources than I know what to do with, so I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. But Napoleonic Warfare, extra XP for defeating enemy units, and the insane ability to just stop shipments for other players from other players for 4 minutes. This is a card that you want to send right before you start pushing your enemy, and that would just destroy them, destroy their hopes and dreams. We have this one, 100 Days. This is a crazy card, and it sends 1 musketeer for every villager that you have lost, up to 100 musketeers. But musketeers become notably weaker, receiving minus 30%. It basically gives you Russian musketeers, but in exchange for a 100 musketeer pop, potentially. Now, this shipment does cost 10 food, 10 wood, and 10 coin for every villager that you've lost for the first 100. Which means that this shipment will cost you 1,000 of each resource when it is all said and done and fully capped out. But a 100 musketeer shipment is borderline insane. Imagine sending this at 199 population. Like, this card right here is just ludicrous, and I love every second of it. It is fantastic, and I would not trade it for anything in the world. We get an infinite 1 heavy cannon, which is whatever, you know, an infinite 7 mounted riflemen and 7 Bosniaks, but the real prizes here are this 1804 costing 3 heavy cannon, 3 horse artillery shipment, which is incredible, and a 5 Mameluke 5 Gatling gun shipment costing about 1800 coin as well. These are very, very powerful mercenary shipments. And then you also see that when we look down at the bottom here, we get access to... that felt good. We get access to thoroughbreds and the artillery one that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Which are, and as well as quite a few other cards that you might not expect, that you would expect to probably lose access to when you revolt, which is, you know, fair in most cases. But here's your thoroughbreds, here's your artillery boost. We also have Grand Army, which allows you to research Imperial upgrades at half of the cost. There is the new French Royal Army card that allows your musketeers and halberdiers to gain benefit from promotions, which could potentially help you out with the negative from 100 days. We have this one right here is really interesting. Enables grenadiers to mine, chop wood, and construct a selection of buildings. We're actually going to make this one because it's quite interesting. And I figured I should probably show you guys off, but once again, it helps with that economy that I was talking about earlier. Now, granted, this one is dependent on mines and trees, and they can't exactly, they can't exactly gather from an infinite source. Oh, I also don't have Grenadiers enabled. I always forget that France is like this. Alright, well, I was a silly goose and forgot to include the cards that actually enable Grenadiers to be sent. But if you notice, this is a 30-card deck. This is an insane amount of cards. But unfortunately, you're just going to have to test out the Grenadier card out yourself. But yes, you get the ability to have Grenadiers chop and mine and construct a selection of buildings. I don't remember exactly what buildings those are, though. This card here is pretty insane, though. Imperial Old Yard significantly improves Grenadier resistances and melee combat. So this gives them 10% resistance in every single category in addition to what they had before, which, if I'm not mistaken, gives them a total of 60% range armor alone, which is insane. But this is the much more insane bit, and that's that Grenadier hand attack in melee mode, it has an increased damage of 100%. Now, if you guys remember, in the most recent patch, Grenadier melee attack got changed to 24 at a base. So this card here is giving them 24 extra attack in melee, in addition to their 1 area effect. So this is like one of the most insane upgrade cards I've ever seen in my life, which is just amazing. We have Dragoons inflict more damage to cavalry and take less time to train, and Artillery moves and fires faster, which is a card that France doesn't have normally, but in this case just allows your cannons to be better than everybody else's cannons. Maybe with maybe the exception of USA in just the trainability department. But Artillery moves and fires faster in combination with the 25% damage boost is no joke. As you can see, our Imperial upgrades are halved. They only cost 750 wood and coin of every resource with this shipment sent. This revolt is just fantastic. It seems awesome. It's got a unique playstyle of spamming villagers and both gathering and attacking from them. And it just seems like so much fun that I can't help but just want to do this every single time instead of going to Age 5 should I start getting into France. And I recommend you guys try this out in some games. It might surprise you. This is a very, very, very fun revolts. And it's just got the most insane thing ever, like a 30-card deck, which is just nuts. So with that, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and goodbye.
Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This was, as ever, a ton of fun to make. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out, and have a great day.